All right, everyone. So in this series, we are going to be looking at the just concluded WAHEC 2005 Economics One Objective Test. It actually is the one I'm holding here, as you can see it now. So we're going to be looking at the question. Let's start with number one. Number one question says, one advantage of a free market economy is that A, gives incentive for innovation, B, guarantees full employment of labor, C, allocates resources to produce public goods, and D, guarantees income equality. And I'm sure many students will mix this simply because of some things. Now, if you want to get this answer, the first thing you need to understand is the word free market economy. You need to understand that free market economy is an economic system that does not prevent individual from owning goods and services, and so a free market economy system can only be seen as a capitalist economic system. So now let's look at the options that are not even correct. I'm going to start with option D, guarantees income equality. That can only happen under a planned economy. Now, allocate resources to produce public good. Anything public good goes to a planned economy, which is government. B, guarantee full employment of labor. That can only be achieved. In fact, it cannot even be achieved even under a planned economy in the real sense of it. Now, A, gives incentive for innovation. Yes, it gives incentive for innovation, and that can only be achieved under the market economy system. I mean, a free market economy system. So A is the correct option. So let's move on to the second question. Here comes the second question. Good X has a price elasticity of 0.25. Now, this means, what does that mean? A is a luxury good. B has many close substitutes. C has few substitutes. D is not purchased out of habit. Now, to answer this question, you need to understand what it means by saying the price elasticity of 0.25. Now, the first condition that you need to understand is when the price elasticity is less than 1, then that means that particular good is inelastic. That means it is fairly inelastic. For instance, here we are having 0.25. That means it is fairly inelastic. Now, the meaning of fairly inelastic simply means that no matter how the price of that goods increases, people will still want to buy more of that particular goods. And most times the reason why that happens is simply because people may have no choice, or they may have lesser choice when it comes to comparison of one goods with another. And so for any good that has a price elasticity which is 0.25, it means that it is inelastic. So if it is inelastic, that means the choice of having substitute, it is what? Is not really much. So let's look at the right option now. So A is a luxury goods. Has many close substitutes. In fact, it can't be luxury goods. It cannot even be has many close substitutes. If it has close substitute or many close substitutes, the implication is that that means that goods will have what is known as elastic demand, or price elasticity of that good will be elastic. But here it is inelastic because we have the coefficient which is 0.25. Now, C has few substitutes. Yes, that will be the answer. But before we conclude that, let's look at the last one. It's not purchased out of habits. No, that cannot be the answer. So the correct answer here is that it has few substitutes. So when a good has few substitutes, then the demand for that good will be fairly inelastic. And I hope you understand that now. So let's move on to the next question. All right, this is number 3 question. The monopolist price is always dash. A, lower than its production cost per unit. B, lower than average revenue. C, higher than marginal revenue. D, higher than average revenue. So which one is applicable? Now let's try to analyze the option. The first option says lower than is production cost per unit. That can never be the answer because a monopolist cannot make profits, or let me say cannot make profits when its production cost is higher. And so a monopolist price will usually not adhere to this option A, which says that monopolist price is always lower than its production cost. No, it's not going to be like that. So this cannot be the answer. B, the monopolist price is always lower than average revenue. No, that cannot be the answer. Now, C, the monopolist price is always higher than marginal revenue. That is the answer. It can be D, and I'll still come back to explain that C. The monopolist price is always higher than average revenue. It's higher, but not higher than average revenue. Remember that a monopolist will always, maximize profits when marginal revenue is equals to marginal cost. So you need to understand that. And then they even make more profits whenever they have a kind of higher price. Because one thing you need to understand is that a monopolist can either fix its price or determine the quantity of goods that is going to bring into the market. And then why would you even say a monopoly? A monopolistic market is a market situation where there is only one seller who is selling goods. So he's the only one in the in the market. He is the king. Therefore, he can either choose his price or determine the quantity of goods that is bringing to market. And of course, he will do everything to make sure he makes more money. So that is why the monopoly's price will always be higher than the marginal revenue. He will always make sure that he fixes a higher price that will be beneficial to him, that will make him to make more profit in the long run. Thank you.